Today you will find out how just one day can change an entire country like Sweden forever. This day is considered to be September 3, 1967. It was in every sense the craziest day for Sweden. Indeed, until 1967, in Sweden, as in many other countries, there was left-hand traffic. And there was an objective reason for this. Historically, it is believed that in ancient times the traffic on the roads on the left side was due to horse carts. This is proved by many studies conducted by scientists in different countries. And this was the norm for those years. And those, in turn, adopted this principle of movement, because this is how they rode horses. This was due to the fact that since ancient times, most riders held their sword or spear in their right hand, and their shield in their left. Therefore, riders preferred to keep to the left side of the road. This allowed them to feel more secure and ready to defend themselves or attack in case of emergency. A little later, with the active development of trade, there was a transition to the right side of the road. The size of freight wagons became larger, and the turnover increased. People added more horses so that more cargo could be carried. And to make it convenient to drive a cart with several horses, a person was mounted on the rear left horse. This allowed the whip to be held in the right hand. But over time, people preferred to ride horses on the right side of the road. This was especially helpful if another wagon was coming to meet you. So both participants in the movement could pass from each other on the left side, while controlling that the wheels of their carts did not catch on each other. It took about 200 years for 65% of the world's population to drive on the right, which is actually the worst side for the movement. Because by nature, in humans, the right side is dominant, and 90% of all people are born right-hand. Few of us guess, but the right eye of a person in most cases is dominant. Simply put, the right eye works better than the left. This manifests itself for almost 70% of the people on the planet. So when you're driving on the left side of the road, your right eye is better at tracking oncoming traffic. And the left eye simply controls passing objects. This explains why the rate of car accidents in countries with left-hand traffic is slightly lower. But back to our story. In 1955, a referendum was held in Sweden, at which the authorities asked the inhabitants of the country to consider the possibility of switching to right-hand traffic. And although 85% of the population were categorically against this proposal, the main legislative body still decided to switch the country from left-hand traffic to right-hand traffic. The reason for this was simple convenience. After all, the main neighbors of Sweden were countries such as Denmark, Finland, and Norway, where they used right-hand traffic. Therefore, when crossing borders, this created many problems, as well as dangers to the life of the driver. Also, most imported cars in the country were equipped with left-hand drive. This created a great risk to the life of the driver, blocking his view when overtaking a car on the left side. As a result, the number of fatal accidents on the road has skyrocketed since the 1950s. The day of the change from left-hand traffic to right-hand traffic in Sweden was called Day H, from the Swedish word högertrafik, which translates as right-hand traffic. The authorities of the country approached this day responsibly. Therefore, they not only came up with their own logo for such a significant day, but they also released a huge number of things that reminded drivers of an important day. Some of which were gloves of different colors, original glasses, even a limited batch of women's underwear with the abbreviation Day H was released. This day was mentioned in the news and on talk shows. And for those who did not watch TV, they even released their own song. A few months before this day, all the crossroads of the country were equipped with additional traffic lights, which were covered with black packets. 8,000 city buses were equipped with extra doors on the right side. And on the road, a new white marking was applied, according to the European standards of that time, which was also sealed with black tape before the onset of Day H. On September 3, 1967, the day came when the law came into force. The whole of Sweden has become one big traffic jam. The drivers moved slowly and carefully from the left side of the road to the right. And the police and road services kept order and helped drivers, controlling their movement. On that day, no one died on the roads, as well as in the next few days. In a few days, only 125 accidents occurred on the roads, instead of 165. It seemed that the transition to right-hand traffic has already given its first positive results. But by 1969, the number of accidents on the road began to return to normal. This process can be described by the fact that at first, the drivers were very careful and got used to the new rules of the road. The transition to right-hand traffic was only the first step for the country's authorities to reduce the number of deaths on the roads. Already by 2015, the number of deaths on the roads had dropped to 263 people a year, instead of 1307 people in 1970. This is considering that the number of cars during this time has doubled. Sweden's goal today is 0 road deaths. And while other countries are looking for a compromise between speed and the number of deaths on the roads, the Swedish government has put human safety first since H-Day on September 3, 1967. Thank you so much for your channel support. If you want to see more awesome stories, then subscribe to the channel and like. And that's all for me. See you all soon.